Sports Illustrated has 3 offensive players to watch at training camp for the Browns, and we'll go through them. David Njoku, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Drew Forbes.
Yeah, so Donovan Peoples-Jones is an interesting case there, of course, because he could be, as you were talking with Dennis Maniloff about, possibly competing for that third wide receiver spot. And where does Hollywood Higgins go from that point? But a guy that I think has kind of gone under the wing of Jarvis Landry and even Hollywood Higgins to understand what it takes to build chemistry with your quarterback and play at the NFL level. He was underutilized at Michigan, of course, and has a lot of that talent, and a guy that slipped to the 6th round. So I think he is in a nice spot in that wide receiver room to not have a lot of pressure on him and possibly compete for that third wide receiver spot, but also at least make an impact this season, as they will use multiple wide receiver fronts. Njoku, of course, a guy before last season, there was all the disgruntled reports about him wanting traded, and now you see him all over the videos that Jarvis Landry's been putting out in his his vlog this offseason in those first 2 episodes, and someone that's enthralled in all of their team workouts and all of the team activities and off the field charity work that they're doing all together, and feels like he is a part of it. And he is a dynamic weapon out there for this offense to use all 3 of those tight ends, as Kevin Stefanski loves to do in his offense. So that he will be someone to watch, because just like Myles Garrett, he's also freak of nature physically as well. So he will always put on a show in those drills at training camp. And Drew Forbes, he's a guy that this team is hoping can add depth to that offensive line, because you lose Kendall Lamb this season, and you saw the injuries and the way that hit this team. They were still able to overcome it in that game against Pittsburgh, but you saw what the offensive line woes and injuries did the Kansas City Chiefs, a team competing for Super Bowl trophies as well. You got to have depth on the offensive line. The interior lines on both sides of the ball are very important to succeed in this league. And Drew Forbes, who was once known as Prospect X, they are hoping coming back from an injury and opting out last year, can really be that offensive line depth, one of those main pieces for them they can rely on in that rotation.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm anxious to see Bill Callahan kind of work with Drew Forbes, and keep in mind, rookie year when he was there, it was a different line coach. So it'll be really interesting to see Bill Callahan kind of try to mold Drew Forbes and develop him as well. It'll be one of the things to kind of keep your eye on as training camp unfolds.